It all started when we were short of money, and he wanted to control all the food and clothes shopping. He'd always complain there wasn't enough food, but he'd never give me any more money. Then he told me I wasn't allowed to leave the house.
I couldn't talk to any of my friends. He was so jealous.
I don't think he was jealous, really. He said I was an embarrassment. Didn't want me doing things without him knowing. Sometimes he wouldn't talk to me for days. The silence was terrible. But when he got angry, he'd throw plates, cups, anything.
Oh, it's really frightening.
He didn't hit me. It was more of a psychological warfare. It made me feel like dirt. He'd take his temper out on the furniture and things. He'd get so angry, threaten to take the kids, and make sure I never saw them again. Or perhaps he'd stop and become very sorrowful and promise never to do it again.
But they do, of course. I got to the point where if he was in a bad mood, I'd make sure that he'd hit me and not the children. It got worse and worse. I was beaten very badly, kicked, punched, even broke my ribs.
He would say my family would disown me if I told anyone, not doing enough to keep him happy. That no one would take my side because I was a woman. And if I told the police, they'd deport me.
I just had our baby, so I was always tired having to look after him. He was only 6 weeks old. That didn't stop him losing his temper if, say, I didn't get him his food. It was the health visitor who first noticed my bruises. See, that was the only time I'd been left alone with anyone. He was careful, though, only to hit me in places where no one would notice. But luckily, he started to become less conscious of that and really didn't mind where he hit me. She said I didn't have to cope with this. I wasn't alone. And she knew of somebody who could help me. She got in touch with social services and arranged an appointment for someone to speak with me.
I ended up having a breakdown. I couldn't sleep, I was petrified. He'd made me prisoner in my own home. In the end, I couldn't take any more, so I cut myself.
I was petrified that he'd find out where I was going. I was sick on the morning I went. It was very difficult talking to a stranger about what was happening. But they listened to me and reassured me and went through the different options with me. They said that a support worker could visit me when my husband was out at work or away from the house if need be. They said that they could find me a house where he wouldn't be able to find me, big enough for my children and myself. It was there that I met Gila, who was going through the same things as me, which was nice because it didn't make me feel that I was alone.
And you can support one another and share each other's experiences.
Yes. So I tell anyone who's being beaten or abused, whether it be by a partner or a family member, that you don't have to go through the ordeal. And you can ask for help straight away.
Do it for yourself. No one is allowed to treat you in this way.